Shevuot, page 34. We'll start on page 33, 5 lines from the bottom of the page. Today we need to have a little longer introduction because there are several foundations we need to know, and then it will be hopefully easy to study this stuff. Number one, it was at the era of a great rabbi, Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach, a great scholar mentioned in the Ethics of the Father, and he saw a man, let's call him name Reuven, running with knife after Shimon. They enter to a house. Reuven walked out, the knife was full of blood, and Shimon, when Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach entered to that house, he saw that Shimon lying dead on the floor. So Shimon ben Shetach said to Reuven, listen, you and I knew who committed murder. The problem is, in one hand, the only thing I can testify is I saw you running with a knife after him. The problem is I'm one person. The problem is I wasn't there when the physically murder took place. And therefore, as much as I know, is that sufficient to impose upon you, Reuven, punishment? So what we need to understand is the connection between the word in Hebrew yedi'ah, which is the knowledge, and re'iyah, physically seeing. And the question is, ha'im efshar lechayev, can we impose upon the defendant party to either capital punishment or compensation or offering or whatever needs to be done for something we only have the knowledge and very strong assumption, but we do not see it, the physical crime scene or the physical event, and vice versa? Can we impose any type of penalty upon seeing without knowledge? Another scenario the Ritva mentioned based on our sugya. It's a young girl, virgin. A fellow ran after her, get to the house. The only thing is you see Mr. A running after Miss B, who's virgin. And the crime scene is, when the event was over, it was blood all over. She is alive, but she lost her virginity. So we have the knowledge, the very serious circumstantial evidence, or the very serious causes in our knowledge, yedi'ah, that the crime took place, but we do not have the physical re'iyah, the physical seeing witnesses that can come and said, Nichnesa betula yatz'a be'ula, that her status changed between the time that he chased her until the time he walks out. And soon you see why this subject is so important. Because yesterday we discussed, and obviously we need to elaborate on that, if a fellow claims something, and we have either yedi'ah without re'iyah or re'iyah without yedi'ah. Take the case of yesterday. Someone come to us and said, I'm a Kohen. And as you know, Kohen have a lot, priests have a lot of privileges. Here's a story I heard, beautiful story, about the Hasidic Rebbe in Israel. It's called Nadvorna, a great Hasidic Rebbe. And once, not long ago, he lost his mother. So the great posek, great Rabbi Zilberstein of Ramat el-Hanan next to Bnei Brak came to visit the Rebbe, the Nadvorna. So while he was Menachem Ovel, while he's comfort, they talk about well-known pasuk, well-known verse from the book of Proverbs, from Mishlei. Shma bni musar avicha, listen my son to the words of admonition from your father. Ve'al titosh, and do not forsake Torat imecha, what you learn from your mother. So the question Rab Zilberstein posts to the Nadvorna Rebbe, since it was the loss of his mother, says, can you explain to us what the pasuk, what the verse mean, Torat imecha? And the Rebbe explained to him beautifully that mother represent regesh, meaning deep feeling, chavaya, the experience. For example, he said, baking halot for Shabbat, all the cooking and preparation for the holidays or for Shabbat. That's Torat imecha, that's chibur, that's connection to life of Torah and mitzvot between the children and the mother. And in a way, it's the achrayut, is the responsibility of the mother. So right after Rav Zilberstein left, as you know, he's a big posek, and he's a big rabbi who people come to him from all over the world. It was a fellow that immigrated to Israel from Russia. And the question is, they discovered that he's Jewish, but is he Kohen? Is he Levi? He's a regular Yisrael? Why? Because, and the Rav Zilberstein said, maybe from heaven, Mishamayim, give me a signal. Because that question just posted to him when he came home. So he asked that fellow, the immigrated person from Russia, what do you remember from your parents' house, from your mother, father? So he said that he remember every time when it's come to Jewish holidays, it was because they are poor, but they have a big ceremony. They used to buy sacks for his father. And why is that? Why they save money all the time and make a big ceremony? So apparently the way he described his father's connection to services and what they did with services, it apparent the situation, as you know, when the Kohen do duchanin, when the Kohen come and bless us, he's taking off his sandal or shoes, and he just go by wearing his socks. So since that fellow claim, or in the regular case, when someone said, I'm a Kohen, and obviously the question is, how do you trust the fellow that he is a Kohen? Maybe he just want to have the privileges. Now imagine a situation as we discussed yesterday. He goes to two friends from Russia and he said, come and give a testimony. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. You know why? Because we have all kind of anger against your father, against your grandfather. So imagine he forced them to come to the Beit Din. They come and they took a false oath. And they said, no, he's not Kohen. And then they start making a self-search. They realize that there is a community that have a potential to have a Kohen, and is none of them, none there. There's nobody to do Pidyon HaBen, nobody can do other obligation of the Kohen. So they come back and they admitted that they lie. Their testimony is not true. So the question is that kalul or lo kalul? Is that incorporated with Shvuat HaEdut, with the law of testimony or not? Is that part of what we learned in the past several days, Parashat Olevi Yored, special verbal offering that applies to those, obviously if you have a lot, you bring expensive animal, if not, you bring the very basic one. Is that involved? Another situation we're going to discuss today, a little different scenario, but brings back the same materials. Reuven claim, listen carefully, that he lent Shimon, another fellow, $10,000. Shimon said, if you prove, if you have witnesses, if you have some people that prove it, you get it. At this point, Reuven had no witnesses. But then Shimon come back and he said to him, look, search and search, maybe they are. And all of a sudden Reuven discovered that it was two people who were standing there while he pulled out $10,000 and gave it to Shimon. So he asked them, subpoena them, and asked them to come to the Bet Din, to rabbinic court. And these two witnesses come in, and when they have examination or cross-examination, they said, look, it is true, we did see Reuven give Shimon 10,000, but we don't know what's the reason. Maybe Reuven owes money to Shimon and he gave him as a return of debt. Maybe it's the way he described that it was a personal loan. We just saw him give it to him. So the question is, can you pursue payment if the court can impose payment on Shimon just on the basis of a testimony that these two witnesses testified seeing Reuven gives him 10K? Now, since the witness is not sure if it's a paying of the debt, or it's maybe a gift, or maybe the way he described is a loan, can the court have any position to say, okay, we have here the opposite than we described earlier. We have re'iyah without yedi'ah. Re'iyah meaning seeing. The two witnesses saw Reuven giving the 10K to Shimon. But the opposite than the first scenario, here is re'iyah belo yedi'ah. They saw Reuven transmitting to Shimon 10K, but they do not have the knowledge what are the 10K is all about. You remember, I don't know if it was in this crowd, but I talked to you one day about the wafer. The person, true story, was standing there at the hospital and he was eating kosher wafer and he opened his packet and the fellow next to him watching him, so he gave him one. And then he went to a doctor appointment, he came out and he was waiting for the result, blood test result, and he saw that fellow eating almost the entire packet of the wafers. And then the fellow looked at him and he offered him a wafer, which was outrageous, and he finished the whole packet, and the person was so furious he didn't say a word. And guess what? When he came home, he realized that his pocket full of wafers was still in his pocket, and it was his mistake. The other fellow had the same thing. So what we try to say, the Rashba, the other early Rishonim, the Ritva, the Ramban said that, look, since Shimon make a declaration, and he said to Reuven, if you can bring witnesses that they see the transactions, I'm going to pay. That's sufficient, according to Ramban, Rashba, and Ritva, for us as a court to impose compensation of 10K upon Shimon. Now, for our sake, we learned in the past several days, and here today we're going to zoom in on two important concepts which we learned in the past. One is called Shvuat HaPikadon, an oath of deposit, meaning one party claim the other, that it was deposit on the other party X amount of money, for example, versus if you have a Shvuat HaEdut, a law of testimony. What's the real difference? The oath of deposit, Shvuat HaPikadon, you can have anyone, you can have relatives, you can have anyone, that even those who are not valid in a regular case to give testimony. Law of deposit will let everyone give a testimony. Versus oath of testimony, we have a very selected people. Only one oath, only bifnei bedin, the front of rabbinic court, and only re'uyim, those who are totally befitting for that. So as we said, here we are, we just have some word of introduction. The concept of Shvuat Haedut, Shvuat HaPikadon and things like that is going to be discussed at length today. Let's start 5 live from the bottom of page 33b. So yesterday we learned the 3 limudim. Now we're going to the 4 derivation. Rabbi Shimon said, Chiyev kan v'chiyev bepikadon, which means we have here a Torah obligation, one for a false oath here, in the case of the oath of testimony, and obligates one for a false oath to do, of testimony to do what? To the oath of deposit, to to give the what the Torah imposed on him. And we said, Ma lehalan eno medaber bitviat mamon, the same way as the oath of deposit, Shvuat HaPikadon, the Torah speaks only about monetary issues. Why? Because if you look at the text, you see that it spells out, and we said it yesterday clearly. Where is it? Just want to see exactly what we brought yesterday. Yes, so we said that it speaks specifically about monetary compensation. That's the binyan av. אף כאן אינו מדבר אלא בתביעת ממון, ועוד קל וחומר. מה פיקדון שעשה בו נשים כאנשים קרובים כרחוקים פסולים ככשרים? Usually those categories, such as the relatives of disqualified to give testimony, women, all the others, as the Mishnah tells us in the 36b, they basically all has to the responsibility when it was a oath of testimony, false oath of false oath of pikadon, of deposit, right? Shvuat pikadon b'sheker versus Shvuat Haedut, the oath of testimony. That applies solely for those category of people who are re'uyim lehaid, people who are befitting, as the Mishnah on page 30 tells us that they can do it. Vechayav, and one he is liable who make false oath. Al, for kol achad ve'achad bifnei bedin v'shelo bifnei bedin. So when it's come to Shvuat HaPikadon, the law of deposit, if the one who gave the lender, or the one who gave the money, make the custodians take an oath several times, and it was a false oath, so the custodians is liable to each and every one of the oath, even as the Mishnah, which I'm going to study on page 36b, tells us even if it was in a bet din. Versus when it's come to the law, the oath of testimony, if the witness took an oath in a bet din, even several times, he is not obligated to do it, only liable only once. That's Mishnah we study on page 31b. אינו מדבר אלא בתביעת ממון, speaks only about monetary claim. עדות, the oath testimony, שלא עשה בנשים כאנשים, קרובים כרחוקים, פסולים ככשרים, as we learn, if you remember on page 30, that those disqualified, they are not obligated to take the law of testimony, because by nature they are disqualified. ואינו חייב אלא אחת בפני בדין, as we said that it's only one. The custodians is only obligation for one even he took an oath many times. אינו דין שלא יהיה מדבר אלא בתביעת ממון. So, how much so that it speaks only about monetary claim? So since that the law of deposit, that it's much stringent than the law of testimony, because it obligated people more times, applies solely for the law of the monetary claim, how much so that when we have a oath of testimony, that apply to what? To only monetary claim. So Rabbi Shimon challenged this comparison. He said no. Ma lepikadon, when it's come to the law of deposit, שכן לא עשה בו מושבע כנשבע, because the pasuk, the Torah in the text, do not treat one who is adjured by other like one who swears himself. So basically, the one who deny deposit, and it was all lie, he's not obligated to bring a sacrificial offering. How much so if someone who's just, for example, respond yes, amen, for the oath of deposit. Next daf, the Gemara, I'm going to have a discussion over this rule of Rabbi Shimon. Umezid keshogeg, and one who's totally aware, like someone who's unaware, unintentional. תאמר בעדות שכן עשה במושבע כן נשבע ומזיד כשוגג. So how can you say that a limitation applying when it's come to the שבועת הפיקדון, the law of deposit, that it applies to the law of testimony, the same way as oath that was taken from others, and something that is intentional, it's much stricter than the oath of testimony, than the oath of deposit. So even the oath of deposit required a person to bring a sacrificial offering. That's basically applies solely for monetary claim. The oath of testimony applies also for those cases that not involved in monetary claim. So since we basically rejected the Kal Vachomer, so here Rabbi Shimon show us how we derive the oath of testimony is limited to monetary claim. Talmud lomar, techeta לגזרה שווה. So we take a verbal juxtaposition by using the same word. And since the word will sin, it's written twice, as soon as you see the source, so we derive verbal analogy, the juxtaposition between the text, that is the same thing that applies to a monetary claim. נאמר כאן, the Torah said in Leviticus chapter 5 verse 1, when it's come to the oath of testimony, ונפש כי תחטא, soul that will sin, ושמעה קול עלה, that they heard, and ונאמר להלן, and over there they said about the law of deposit, נפש כי תחטא, soul that it sin, ומעלה מעל, מה להלן, אינו מדבר אלא בתביעת ממון. The same way as over there we talk about monetary claim, אף כאן, when it's come to oath of testimony, אינו מדבר אלא בתביעת ממון. They speak only about what? Monetary claim. The teaching of Rabbi Eliezer that compared the oath of deposit to the oath of testimony, it's for the reason that it's the word or in English or, appears more than once in each passage. So this we basically ask how come we not compared the portion of murderer to a portion of sotah. Even if you remember, we studied the day before yesterday, the word or in occurred there. So now the Gemara brings another question against that derivation. מתקיף לרבא ברעולה, או ביטוי יוכיחו, because it's written the word or in the oath of utterance, that's basically prove the opposite. או נפש כי תשבע לבטא בשפתיים, שהן או אין, ויש עמהם שבועה ואין עמהם כהן, ומדברים שלא בדברת ממון. So they have with oath and not with kohen, and they're stated in reference to something that have a monetary claim. So the question is, when you have this statement of Rabbi Eliezer, why he's not derived from the pasuk about the oath of utterance, that the oath testimony is not limited to a monetary claim? So Gemara said, "Mistabra mikadon haval elemeilaf, sheken techeta mitecheta." So we assume it's reasonable that we derive from the law of deposit to the law of testimony, because we have the hekesh using the word will sin from one location to another. V'nefesh ki techta, in שבועת העדות, oath of testimony, and nefesh ki techta שבועת הפיקדון, of deposit. Adraba, the Gemara said, no, the opposite. Mibitui haval elemela, from the expression of utterance, oath of utterance, we should learn, sheken chatat mechatat, אלא מסתברא מפיקדון אבל למלאף, שכן חטא במזיד תבעי וחפרי ועברי. So first, קודם רבי שמעון אמר שבשבועת הפיקדון רק על שוגג. Earlier, Rabbi Shimon said that when it's come to law of deposit, it is only unwittingly. And here, חייב גם על מזיד. So, here you have Rashi, said that it's the 4 point that we derive the concept that it's equal, the law of deposit to the oath of deposit to the oath of testimony. 1, that's Rashi. שכן חטא תחתה מתחטא ובשניהם חייב על המזיד, אבל ביטוי כתיב ובהשם ונעלם. תבע וחפרי עדות ופיקדון באים על ידי טענה וכפירה, מה שאין גם בתשובת ביטוי. I'm just read Rashi. ועברי עדות ופיקדון שתיהם השבועות לשעבר על ביטוי קרא להבא. So here, you have here Rashi that tell us that when it's come to the 4 different point. Number 1, the word techta, which is chet, appears in both oath of deposit, oath of testimony. 2, bemezid, which is the concept of intentional. Intentional meaning that you have, if someone taken false oath, he needs to bring a korban in both, if it's bemezid. Tav'ei v'kafrei, so Tosfot explain that that's one thing. Both result from a claim and denial. And then ve'avrei, and number 4, both pertain to the past. He passed him. So the Gemara said, Aderabe, the other way. Mibitui aval elemeilaf. We should learn from the expression, the law pertaining to the oath of testimony from the passage of the oath of utterance. Why? שכן חטאת שירדה לחומש. חטאת שירדה לחומש, that's the 3 inyanim that applies to all of that. Chatat, punishable by chatat offering. Sheyarda, punishable by עולה ויורד, verbal. Lachomesh, neither are punishable by additional fifth, which is the whole concept we learn of the Tosefet Chomesh. V'chamishito Yosef alav. So the Gemara said, Hanach nefishan, those are numerous. Meaning the idea of the oath of testimony share with the oath of deposit are more numerous than those with oath of utterance. Why? Because the first one are 4 and the Shevuot between it is 3. רבי עקיבא אומר, והיה כי יש שם לאחד מאלה. יש מאלה שהוא חייב ויש מאלה שהוא פטור. הכיצד דבר ממון חייב, דבר דבר אחר פטור. So it's all depend. If it's a money, so obviously the claimant claimed that he owe him money, so the defender and the witness falsely denied knowing the testimony, so they are liable. דבר דבר אחר פטור. Otherwise, if it's not monetary, he is exempt, he's not liable. So the Gemara said, Ei puchana. We should go the opposite. דבר אחר is chayev, דבר ממון פטור. That's the mem of me'ele. Eile versus the Shevuot mamon. So he said, Rabbi Akiva, or in Rabbi Eliezer samich. Rabbi Akiva relies on Rabbi Eliezer gzera shava, which based on the word or, written in the passage about the oath of testimony and the oath of deposit. מהי בניו בין רבי אלעזר ורבי עקיבא? איכא בניו משביע ידי קרקע. לרבי אליעזר חייב ולרבי עקיבא פטורים. Person knows about the state. So if you basically adjures a witness to testify to support of a claim involving land or not. So Rabbi Eliezer, if they deny and make a false oath, they need to bring a korban. Rabbi Akiva pturim, exempt. ולרבי יוחנן אמר הטה, משביע ידי קרקע אפילו לרבי אליעזר פטורים, העיקר. What's the difference between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva? העיקר בניו עדי קנס. Difference is the witnesses that liable for false oath testimony when it's come to case of penalty. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, they're liable, while according to Rabbi Akiva, they're not. The third לימוד. רבי יויסגלי אומר, והוא עדו ראה או ידע, בעדות המתקיימת בראייה בלא ידיעה או בידיעה בלא ראייה, כתוב מדבר. As we said earlier, you have two different testimony. One, you see, you don't have a yedi'ah, the knowledge, or if you have knowledge, you not see it. אומר רב פאפא לאביי לימה שרבי יויסגלי לית לדרבי אחא. דתניא רבי אחא אומר, גמל האוחר. בין הגמלים ונמצא גמל ערוץ בידוע שזה הרגו. So here Rashi tells us, which is fascinating difference between camel and other animals, זה בועט ברגליו, לנראה כשבא להיזקק לנקבה, הוא נלחם ומכה ברגליו גם מי שבוסתיו, ולשון אחר נופל בתשמיש בגלים תנא בחורת גמל אחור כנגד אחור. So the difference between camel and others, that גמל משמש פנים בפנים, face to face, צניעות, שאר בעלי חיים אחור ופנים, it's from the back. That's the Rashi in Rosh Bava Bato 93. So basically that's what they call Omed. So therefore they said, נמצא גמל הרוג בסביבו וידעו שזה הרגו. So owner needs to pay. So even you don't have an eidim, you don't have witnesses, but anyway, בכל זאת מצרפים נתונים, they combine. רב פאפא concluded, it לרבי אחא. If you tell me that Rabbi Yosigli agree with Rabbi Yacha, in his go by the Omed, which means even without seeing, this does not contradict his statement above. Why? So he said, Bedine nefashot, nami mashkachat la, Bedine nefashot, Now משכחת לה, when it's come to capital punishment, so he found, that's well known, as we said in introduction, כגון רבי שמעון בן שטח. נתניה אומר רבי שמעון בן שטח, אראה בנחמה, אראה בנחמה is לשון שבועה. Says, אם לא ראיתי אחד שרץ אחר חברו לחורבה. Imagine, let's just use the name. Abraham chasing Yitzchak, and he running with a big knife. And he gets to this empty building, empty home. ורצתי אחריו, and I chase him, ומצאתי סייף בידו, and I saw a big knife, a big sword in his hand, ודם מטפטף והרוג מפרפר. So I basically see blood coming out of the knife, and the body of the victim is still twitching. So everyone should tell me, what is this? Obviously, you have all the circumstantial evidence that say that you have a case of murder. You have the fellow that is about to die, he's a ghost. You see the other fellow coming out, Avram coming out with a knife full of blood. Amarti lo, meaning I, Rabbi Shimon ben Shedach, said to this horrible murderer, Rasha, evil person, right? Mi harago leze, right? Who killed this person? Right? Ani or ata, meaning only two of us are here. So I know clearly that since there's no other person in this area, excluding you and me, and the other fellow is about to die, obviously you murdered him. אבל מה אעשה שאין דמך מסור בידי? But what can I do? For your blood has not been delivered into my hand to execute justice. Why? As much as he was an important judge in the court, he said, שהרי אמרה תורה, the Torah in the book of Dvarim, Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 6 said, על פי שניים עדים, you need to bring two witnesses, או שלושה עדים יומת המת. לא יומת על פי עד אחד, the Torah said, you cannot have a capital punishment only when you have only one single person that sees it. אלא, however, המקום ייפרע ממך, meaning the Almighty, the omnipresent, will give a retribution to you. אמרו לו זזו משם עד שנשכו נחש ומת. They said it not move from there until a snake came there, a serpent, and bite that murderer, and he's gone. So a few points. First, Tosfot in the Sanhedrin said that it was another Shimon ben Shetach, and Mishum Kvodo they didn't mention. But also, why it's Neshichat Nachash, so there's both, the Ritva and the Gemara in the Sanhedrin that explain. But Tosfot and Ramban and others say that you have a Raya, you have a Chacha from here, from this Gemara, that Rav Acha, it's not only in a monetary claim, but also benefashot, dan beriyah b'idiyah. He can go with seeing without knowledge. Why? Because you see the Rav Acha mechayev mita benefashot al smach yediyah belo riyah. Anyway, so there is a big discussion, the Chidushei Aran, the Ratva, the Rashba, the Ritva, Ramban, many mefarshim. How far you go, Tosfot, the difference between nefashot and mamonot, and it's a capital punishment. But anyway, so far what we see, that Rabbi Yossi Aglili is not the way of Acha. So אפילו תמה לידי רבי אחא, בישלמה ידיעה בלא ראייה משכחת לה, אלא ראייה בלא ידיעה איך משכחת לה, מי לא בא עם מידע, אם עובד כוכבים הרג, או ישראל הרג, אם הטרפה הרג, או שלם הרג. We do not know what exactly involved. If it's a עובד כוכבים, if you remember we learned in Sanhedrin 78, idol worshipper is exempt from mitas bedin. טריפה, so טריפה, the Ramban bring a chidush that it's even something external, חיצוני. But the general טריפה is, Gemara in Chulin, chapter 3 said, that anyone have any type of physical damage, that they give him short time to survive. Some said up to the 12 months. Anyway, so we don't know what exactly happened. So only if it's a monetary claim you can go, but otherwise, no. שמע מינה כסבר רבי יוסי גלילי, משביע ידי קנס פטור. דיס אגדתה חייב, נהי דידיעה בלא ראייה שכחת לה. Right? So the Meiri and the Rimigash and the Rashba said, right? give me an example. ראייה בלא ידיעה, מי לא בא יקרא ידיעה, נוכרית בעל או בת ישראל בעל, בתולה בעל או בעולה בעל. Imagine the case the Ritva mentioned. You see a fellow, Reuven, he's chasing Sarah, and everyone knows that Sarah is virgin. He gets in, he come out, she's, luckily survived, but she lost her virginity. Right? And everyone know that when they came to that place, she was virgin. So basically what happened here, you have this process that we all know that it happens, that it prohibited. We just do not have the re'iyah, we have the yedi'ah, we have the knowledge, we don't have the physical seeing the crime, right? יתיב רב נונה כמד רב יהודה, ויתיב רב יהודה וכמי בא אלי, מנה מניתיך בפני פלוני או פלוני. So he said, I counted out a maneh, which is the amount of money to you as alone, in front of so and so, and so and so. Page 34b, ועדין רואים אותו מבחוץ. You have here the witnesses that watching the person from outside, which means the defender not recognize that they are there. That's the way Rashi said. ולא הכיר הנתבע בהם. So otherwise, so my Rashba challenged that. But anyway, what's the halakha? So Rav Nuna respond, Omar Rav Nuna said to Rav Yehuda, Ve'alama atone. So he said, what's the defenders have to say before the witnesses comes in? If he said lahadam is nothing happened, uchzak kafran, obviously he's a liar. So Rimigash and Ramban and the Ritva and Chidushei Aran, they deal deeply with the whole concept of what exactly uchzak kafran. What exactly the witness testified that the transaction did occur. היא אמרת אין שקלי ודידי שקלי, כי אתו יודעים מה היה ו. If he said, I took the money, but the money I took was my own, so if the witness come in and testify, what is all about? We have the concept of המוציא מחברו עליו הראיה. So the Sefer HaTrumot in Shar Yud Aleph, he said that even you tell me that he did it derech halva'ah, the way that the matter of transaction is a loan, and he pretended that, so he said that it's a real claim and it's exempt. That's the way the two Shulchan Aruch Shel Mishpat are in tet. But anyway, so the Rav Yehuda respond, Omar lei, Rav Yehuda said to Rav Nuna, his student, Hamnuna at ul. At ul, so the Torat Chaim, Chatam Sofer, Ado said, it's like you passed the test. You can come and be my student in yeshiva. Otherwise, why use this term? At ul. You may enter the yeshiva. Ta, come. Hauda אמר לחברי, מנה מניתי לך בצד עמוד זה. אמר לי לא עברתי בצד עמוד זה. So the guy said, you're a liar. You said that it was this pillar. Says, I never passed there. So you have two witnesses that said what? That he's urinated there. So אמר יש לקיש, הוחזק כפרן, he's a liar. So the Meiri and others said that the consequences you need to pay. The question is, he's not deemed credible. There's no lo ne'eman. It's like the Tosfot here comment. The whole idea of ishtin mayim. He's like saying like this: Im timtza edim, if you find me a witnesses that say that I borrow from you, then I pay you. Matkeb l'Rav Nachman haydinat parsa. Says this, it's not din Torah. It's Bava Kama Nunchet explain Bava Kama 58 said that that's the Persian. It means that they don't do the proper investigation the way that Torah requires. Mi amar be'olam be'esek ze k'amar li. Person in general don't remember where he urinates and things. So you don't have any clear raya, clear ochacha that it's lie. Versus alva'ah, we have an assumption that the person have achrayut, have some responsibility to remember long. So obviously you cannot compare. מה נאמניתי לך בצד עמוד זה? אומר לי לא עברתי בצד עמוד זה מעולם נפקו בסעדדי שתין פעם מים בצד עמוד זה. אומר רב נחמן הוחזק כפרן. Why? Because the Eidim basically contradicted the whole time. Anyway, אומר לי רב לרב נחמן. אומר לי רב נחמן. So he basically disputed and he said, Kol milta de lo ram yale de inish, anything that is not incumbent upon a person to remember, avid la velavadate, he performs without paying attention. So the reality is the person does not remember all the places where he urinate, as we said. So consequently, even a defender was contradicted by the witnesses, is not established as one who will deliberately lie. But the Rashba added to that and he said, in the case of Rav Abnuna, for sure he is lying. Why? Because we assume average person will remember that he received money from so and so, even if it was a gift or paying an old debt. Rabbi Shimon Omer Chayav Chiev Kan v'Chiev Pikadon. He said that when it's come to the oath of testimony, the pasuk, the Torah will require the person to bring an offering, korban. And also in the deposit situation. So what you see here, that these are two kulot, two leniency that Rabbi Shimon represent. One, שבועת הפיקדון. לא עשה בו מושבע, כנשבע בעצמו. שבועת הפיקדון לא עשה בו מזיד כשוגג. So here the discussion is, what's the difference? מה חכו לה למערבי? So the Meforshim explain that it's not really the makdem chas v'shalom, but they feel that it's a shibush. It's like in Eretz Yisrael they have a hard time to take it the way it is. Ma'ich, what exactly they mark? The k'tani ma lepikadon shekelu nasa b'mushba benishba meizid b'shogeg, because the pasuk said v'shama kol ala. Mikdem mushba mipi atzmo be'eidud l'Rabbi Shimon menale. How Rabbi Shimon know that he needs to bring korban offering? The gomar mi pikadon. So when it's come to the pikadon, to the deposit, so what we said, the liability for an oath adjured by others could be derived through this verbal analogy from the passage about the oath of testimony. So the question means, how can Rabbi Shimon say that an adjured oath of deposit does not carry liability? Tosfot said, so basically it's applied to both. Umay chucha, is that the reason they laugh? They mock. Dilma Rabbi Shimon bekal v'chomer ma'itela. So basically, so far we don't find what's the reason they mock in Eretz Yisrael, because Rabbi Shimon in the Braita Lemala, what he said, Kal v'chomer, and then he said Pircha, and then you see Ma'arov Achaychu. So the Gemara tried to give all kind of ideas why Achechu. If you tell me that the Mechayvim, they obligated the same as Mezid and Shogeg versus Shvuat HaPikadon, the oath of deposit, it's only Shogeg and not Mezid. So that's the reason the Machachu, Elachucha Mezid Kashogeg. Ela. The Makar is based on the issue whether the sinner is liable for an offering as a knowing sinner, as a not knowing. Dektane. Ma lepikadon shkem lo asa b'mushba kenishba, mezid keshogeg, either way. Either like the swear himself or in the case where the oath deposit knowing sinner is not liable for an offering, whether in the case of oath testimony knowing the sinner is liable to an offering. Mikdei מזיד גבי עדות מנהלי דלא כתיבה ונעלם. ההכנה מלא כתיבה ונעלם. It's not written and it was concealed. Let's say if someone entered, the Torah said in Vayikra, hey, someone entered the Beit HaMikdash or eat kehodshim when in state of impurity. So the korban levi, the verbal offering. ונעלם ממנו והוא טמא והשם. That's the pasuk. Thank you. So the Tosfot דיבור המתחיל פיקודון. Okay, we don't have time. Okay, fine. So they said, אומר לו, רבונה ומאי חוכה, דילמה מזיד לאו ששוהה בפיקדון ממילה רבי שמעון גומר לי. Right? מילה is misused, something that's a hegdesh. So you have the two pesukim. שבועות הפיקדון you have umala, and you have a hegdesh, kitimol mal. It's also meila. So you compare the two. So the Rashba and Rashi, the Ritva said that in a Masoret, you don't take this concept of a meila, it's a gzera shava gmura. Anyway, so they said, v'hainu chocha, the gamar la meila, mistabra, meila, אבל למילaf, שכן מילה ממילה. אדרה מעדות, אבל למילaf, שכן תחתה. So how do you learn? מסתברא מילה דאבל למילaf, שכן שבועת פיקדון is same as מילה. מילה בכל נהנה בקבוע חומש ואשם. So you have here a very important 6 things. I wish to have the time to go all of the list. You see the מפורשים, the commentary, the list of 6. אדרבה מעדו אבל למילaf, שכן חטא הדיוט בשבועה, תווה וחפרי והאוין. So you have here the 5 things that you learn. So you cannot find a reason why they let mark of Rabbi Shimon. So it said, Hanach nefishin. So Rashi said, Tabe v'kafri is one thing. So they ask a question, Umay chucha? Ela may chucha? Ki atra papa v'ravuna b'drav Yisham b'rav amrei, Haynu rucha migdei Rabbi Shimon gzera shava gamir. That's the techta. So that applies specifically in a monetary claim. למה לידי פריך מה לידי פיקדון שכן לא עשה במושבע כנשבע? מזיד כשוגג. So knowing sinner like an unknowing sinner. So Rabbi Shimon distinguishes here between the oath of deposit and oath of testimony in regard to an adjure oath and knowing violation. But since Rabbi Shimon accepted the gzera shava, linking these two oaths, there should be no such distinction between them. Umay chucha is again whole question. What's the reason they left? Because maybe the whole idea of Rabbi Shimon ask a question, it was before he knew that it was a gzera shava. He was only in the shlav of kal vachomer. Gzera shava is a different story. ומה איחור חדימה כי פריך מכמה דתיקום לגזרה שווה, מטרה דקמה לגזרה שווה לא פריך. So Rashi said that's basically the way that they do in Sifra, in Sifri. Or said velo. So Rashi said here twice, כלומר, I wish to have time. בדמיה, כלומר, הוא בתר דקמה לא פריך, כלומר, דיאליף, הנמה בגזרה שווה שעשה בו מושבע, כי נשבע ומזיד כשויגג. No time, all right. ואמר לו רבא בר איתי לרבונון, מה נתן על שבועות הפיקדון לא ניתן זדונה לכפרה? So here that's chumra, because a person preferred to be korban rather than to have malkut. So Rashi said that is gzera shava mufna. Anyway, דילמה מזיד כשוער כפריך דגמר למה מילה דתנח נפישין אבל מושבע כנשבע לא פריך. So Gemara said ותדר עדות ותגמר לה מפיקדון. Again you have Rashi kloimar here, 2 lines from the bottom. kloimar היינו חוכה לבטר. No time. Okay. דמזיד דלאו כשוגג. מה הפיקדון שוגג אין מזיד לא, אף עדות שוגג אין מזיד לא. כי איך דיאליף פיקדון ממילה. Page 35, top of the page. We're just going to finish up to the Mishnah. So the Gemara explained Rabbi Shimon reasoning. להריקת ורחמנו לעדות. גבי שבועת ביטוי וגבי טומאת מקדש וקודשיו. Because all of the three mentioned is like equal korban. ובכולם נאמר בהם ונעלם. All of them it stayed and it was concealed. Which means that it's unintentional, shogeg. וכאן, the oath of testimony, לא נאמר בהם ונעלם לחייב על המזיד כשוגג. So you have here that the נעלם עדות is not the same as גזירה שווה. So in short, when it's all said and done, you didn't have the chucha al Rabbi Shimon. If you dig in, it's not really a reason for the mocking. But obviously you have a lot of the meforshim, the Ritva, the many others that try to find what's the idea. But in general, all the other explanation of the chucha was totally rejected. So, but there are those who say that there still is a reason. Some meforshim, as we said, the Ritva, it is ridiculous to maintain that the derivation based on the omission of an elam, it was concealed, which is merely an implied derivation, overrides the Gzera Shava. But this is in contrast to all the preceding explanations for the mockery, which were totally without basis. Again, as we said, the Ritva here expanded on that. Maybe another time. We'll continue on with this.